Imagine, if you will, the impossible. A European army, modern, proud, utterly shattered. This wasn't supposed to happen. News traveled like wildfire, a tremor through the very heart of empire. Europe watched, disbelieving, their grand design unraveling. Yet, here it stood, a vibrant African nation, not just resisting, but decisively crushing a mighty European superpower. A profound moment. How could this be? How did an army deemed primitive achieve such an impossible, monumental upset against all odds? For too long, history has whispered a different tale, painting colonial Africa as a passive canvas for European ambition. The late 19th century saw European powers carve up a continent with astonishing speed. Their technological might seemed unstoppable. The belief in their own invincibility was absolute, a foundational pillar of colonial ideology. No one dared challenge it. African resistance, though fierce, often met with crushing defeat. It seemed an unalterable tide, a foregone, painful conclusion. But then, a jarring discord in this chorus of conquest. A story whispered from the highlands, a defiance echoing loudly. A place called Adwa, a name that would come to symbolize a radical, unforgettable reversal of these colonial expectations. The stakes were immense, stretching beyond mere borders, touching the very destiny of a continent's soul and spirit. Here, in the vastness of Ethiopia, an African army of 19,000 stood against 17,000 Europeans. The numbers speak volumes. Conventional wisdom declared the smaller, modern army the victor, an assumed truth born of unquestioned imperial superiority. But history, as it often does, delights in confounding our neatest expectations. This African army did not just resist, they decisively crushed a European superpower, a feat previously unimaginable, rewriting the very rulebook of conquest itself. This was no small skirmish, no minor setback. This was an epic military history, a profound, world-altering confrontation. So, how did this monumental upset occur? What hidden strengths, what profound strategies led to such a triumph? Was it the land, the leaders, the people's spirit, or perhaps a combination woven together by destiny's hand? And why did this single clash, 19,000 versus 17,000, become a global roar of defiance, echoing across oceans? It wasn't just a battle, it was a beacon, a shimmering possibility for countless millions yearning for freedom. Adwa shattered narratives, proving that the inevitable march of empire was not so inevitable after all. Join us now as we uncover the extraordinary story of Adwa, a battle that truly changed the world. Imagine a world, not so long ago, where distant maps showed lands carved by ambition without their consent. An insatiable appetite stirred across Europe, a relentless hunger for territories, resources, and unyielding power. The continent, rich with ancient cultures and vibrant life, was tragically viewed as an empty canvas. European machines of war, forged in fire, spoke with a deafening roar, a stark, brutal truth. This technological might fostered a belief, a dangerous myth of inherent invincibility among the colonizers. One by one, the flags of empires rose, claiming ancient lands, marking them forever with foreign symbols. The wealth of the land, its very soul, was systematically extracted, sent across oceans to fuel distant ambitions. Age-old traditions and ways of life often fractured, as new foreign systems were brutally imposed. They spoke of progress, of bringing light. Yet shadows of conquest truly obscured the Sunday. By the late 19th century, the map of Africa looked utterly unrecognizable, a mosaic of foreign claims. The sharp crack of a rifle, the thunder of cannon fire, changed the very rhythm of life. With these instruments, a handful of men could overwhelm thousands, an unthinkable power disparity. Mounted troops, clad in uniforms, moved with an almost unstoppable force across the vast landscapes. Even the rivers and coasts felt the presence of their mighty ships, projecting power far inland. New technologies, like telegraph wires, linked distant outposts, cementing their control and swift responses. They built railways, roads, and forts, tangible symbols of their enduring presence and claim. This display of overwhelming might instill a profound sense of fear, even fatalism in many hearts. For them, the idea of defeat at the hands of Africans seemed utterly, impossibly far-fetched. Newspapers back home lauded these heroic conquests, feeding a narrative of unstoppable righteous power. It felt to many as though history itself was on their side, making conquest seem inevitable. Amidst this relentless scramble, a relatively new nation, Italy, yearned for its own grand stage. They arrived late to the imperial feast, finding most of the choicest territories already claimed. But ambition burned fiercely within, a deep desire to prove their nation's worth on the world stage. Their gaze fell upon the Horn of Africa, a place where a new Roman Empire might rise. Eritrea became their initial foothold, a strategic outpost, a stepping stone for grander dreams. They envisioned a vast East African empire, mirroring the glory of their ancient Roman past. Their military, though untested on this scale, was confident, believing in European superiority. There was little doubt in their minds that this conquest would be swift and effortless. They had not yet truly understood the spirit, the resilience of the people they sought to conquer. And so, the stage was set for a clash of wills that history would never quite forget. There exists a realm, deep within Africa's embrace, where history itself seems to breathe through ancient stone. This land, Abyssinia, an old Christian kingdom, held its own unique heartbeat for thousands of years. While empires carved up a continent, Ethiopia stood, a lonely beacon, steadfast and remarkably free. It was a rare sight, a testament to a people's spirit, refusing to bend to foreign will. Life here flourished, guided by its own rhythms, its own faith, its own sovereign destiny. Such a distinction in a world of subjugation truly made Ethiopia a unique and defiant anomaly. At its helm stood Emperor Menelik II, a leader with vision, rooted deeply in his people's soil. He carried the weight of ages, the hopes of a nation, upon his shoulders with quiet resolve. His wisdom was tempered with pragmatism, always seeking a path forward for his cherished homeland. Beside him, a force of nature, Empress Taitu Betul, a woman whose spirit burned like a bright star. She was not merely a consort. She was a fierce protector, a strategist, a voice of unyielding pride. Together, they were the very embodiment of Ethiopia's free spirit, its beating heart, its defiant soul. This is where our story truly twists. A quiet document, meant to forge peace, instead sowed discord. The Treaty of Wuchale, signed with intent, would soon become a chilling testament to betrayal. It was hoped to be an alliance, a handshake across cultures, a promise made, yet unseen. In Amharic, the words offered choice. Ethiopia could seek Italy's aid in foreign dealings. A sovereign nation's right to choose, to partner if it saw fit, was enshrined there. Menelik believed in those words, a respectful understanding between two distinct powers. But turn the page, and the Italian rendition spoke a different, far more sinister language. Here, Ethiopia must rely on Italy for all its foreign affairs, a binding, absolute decree. This wasn't an agreement. It was an act of quiet usurpation, a calculated, cruel deception. Italy, cloaked in its own hubris, saw this as their moment to claim a protectorate. They declared it openly, a boastful assertion of dominion over an ancient, free kingdom. Their arrogance, born of imperial ambition, believed Ethiopia would simply bow to their will. But Menelik, his heart aching with betrayal, stood firm, refusing to accept such a slight. Empress Taitu's voice, equally resolute, echoed his sentiment. Their nation would not yield. Ethiopia's spirit, unbowed for millennia, would not surrender its independence through deceitful words. The path to peace was broken, shattered by arrogance. War, now, was the only remaining road. Imperial hubris clashed against national pride, pushing both sides toward an unthinkable, bloody horizon. The quiet betrayal ignited a fire, propelling a free people to defend what was truly theirs. The desert stretched out, silent witness to a new resolve. A foreign ambition began its arduous journey. Invisible lines on dusty maps became tangible. They crossed into lands unknown, driven by dreams of empire. Small victories like captured desert forts fueled their march. Each step seemed to confirm their unwavering belief. The scent of easy triumph lingered in the air, a dangerous perfume. History whispered warnings they refused to hear. Memories of past, swift victories hardened their conviction. They believed this land would bend easily to their will. This was not like other places. This land held ancient pride, a spirit unknown to their European maps. One by one, ancient strongholds fell, or so it seemed. Foreign banners now flew above these contested lands. Deeper they pushed, into the heart of a land awakening. Each arduous step fueled their growing, fatal hubris. They felt unstoppable, a force of progress, destined to conquer. The mountains themselves seemed to bow before them. Silence often speaks volumes. The quiet eyes of the locals held stories, warnings unheeded by the invaders. News travels on the wind, sometimes swift, sometimes heavy. The emperor heard, and his heart began to stir. A heavy crown often carries a heavier burden. He weighed war's whispers, the fate of his beloved people. The time for contemplation had passed. A call, deep, resonant, would now echo across the entire land. Swift riders carried the emperor's words to every corner. Winds themselves seemed to whisper the call to arms. From the vast plains, the Oromo people heard. A shared threat began to knit together diverse hearts. In the highlands, the Amhara left their plows. The ancient call of duty resonated deep within their souls. The Tigrayans, guardians of the north, knew this threat. Unity's true strength would be forged in fire. Old wounds sometimes linger, even in crisis. But a greater purpose began overshadowing past grievances. They looked into each other's eyes, seeing not stranger, but kin. The invaders' shadow drew them closer. One banner, one nation, one shared breath. The ancient land began to answer its emperor's urgent plea. From every direction, streams of humanity flowed. The great river of resistance was slowly beginning to form. A living tide of people, countless souls, began their long march. Their footsteps echoed a nation's heartbeat. Mountains, stern and unforgiving, challenged every single step. But their spirit, forged in hardship, would not falter. Rivers, cold and deep, tested their resolve. Yet, together, they found strength to cross the rushing waters. The sun beat down, unyielding, on dusty plains. Thirst was a constant companion on this arduous journey. Bellies often ached, provisions grew scarce. Yet, they shared what little, a bond stronger than hunger. Water, a treasure in this dry land, was sought. Every drop sustained their bodies and their indomitable hope. Beasts of burden faltered, supplies dwindled. The very ground they walked tested their unshakable commitment. Each blistered foot, each aching muscle, spoke of resolve. Their spirit burned brighter with every challenging stride. Families, too, walked this path, witnessing history's unfolding. Their quiet strength echoed through the dusty miles. Old distinctions blurred on the common road. A shared struggle forged bonds far stronger than blood. Under countless stars, the campfires flickered. Stories were shared, fears whispered, and unity quietly grew. Ancient tales of heroes and homeland bound them. The spirit of Ethiopia, unified, awakened within their hearts. The emperor rode among his people, a unifying presence. His quiet strength inspired their unwavering march forward. Beside him, a formidable presence, Empress Tetu rode. Her wisdom and spirit would prove indispensable. She was not merely a queen, but a fierce commander. Her sharp mind saw strategies others often overlooked. Her presence alone uplifted weary spirits. She reminded them of the sacred land they fought to protect. Beyond courage, she possessed keen strategic insight. Her counsel was a lamp in the looming darkness. After endless miles, they stood together, a testament. Their unity, forged, was stronger than any foreign steel. Italian scouts, expecting scattered resistance, saw a sight. A vast, unified host emerged from the ancient lands. The easy victory they anticipated began to fade. This was no colonial skirmish. This was a nation. Their faces, weathered by journey, shone with purpose. They stood ready for themselves, for their ancestral land. A quiet calm settled over the vast expanse. An ancient empire's fate hung precariously in the balance. Together they faced the dawn, united. Ethiopia stood ready, a proud and unyielding testament to liberty. The land itself became an ally, a silent conspirator in a grand unfolding drama. Menelik understood this. He weighed his options not with haste, but with the quiet wisdom of a shepherd guarding his flock. To rush would be folly. Patience, he knew, was not weakness, but the sharpest weapon of all. The invaders, full of purpose, pushed forward, unaware of the subtle trap being carefully set before them. Menelik chose not to meet them head-on, but to let the land do its slow, relentless work. Each step deeper into the heart of Ethiopia felt like progress, but it was also a deepening commitment. The unforgiving highlands began to whisper their secrets, challenging every soldier's resolve with each ascent. These mountains, ancient and proud, swallowed men whole, testing the very spirit of those who dared cross. Every day, the distance from their origins grew, a tether stretching thinner, threatening to snap. Our own people, born of this soil, watched their every move, their knowledge a priceless, hidden gem. The initial fervor began to wane, replaced by the silent weariness only long, hard marches bring. Distance itself became an enemy, a constant, nagging worry in the minds of the Italian commanders. This was Menelik's subtle art, turning the land, the air, even time itself, into his allies. The eyes of Ethiopia watched, gathering tidings, sharing whispers that traveled faster than any telegram. The land offered no easy paths, no quick victories, just endless vistas of challenging, arduous terrain. The once robust supply lines, meant for conquest, were now frayed threads in a vast, indifferent tapestry. The daily struggle for sustenance became a heavy burden, weighing down spirits more than their packs. Small failures accumulated, each breakdown a tiny victory for the land, a setback for the invaders. Meanwhile, our messengers moved like ghosts, their steps light, their invaluable knowledge flowing freely through the mountains. Every detail, every observation was brought to him, building a clear, precise picture of the enemy. Uncertainty began to creep in, a cold companion gnawing at the edges of their initial confidence. The roar of distant battles seemed far away, replaced by the gnawing silence of dwindling supplies. The grand visions of quick triumph slowly eroded, replaced by the grim realities of daily survival. The sheer scale of the land seemed to mock their efforts, whispering of endless, insurmountable distances. Home felt impossibly far away, a sweet memory fading with each passing, arduous day and night. Morale, that delicate flame, flickered precariously, threatened by the cold, the hunger, the endless wait. The bonds between them strengthened, yes, but so did the quiet despair, unspoken yet deeply felt. In the lonely quiet, thoughts drifted to loved ones, to the warmth and safety left so far behind. The weight of command grew heavier, as each decision felt like a gamble against overwhelming odds. Menelik watched, knowing the wind would eventually wear down even the strongest stone, given time. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, and the thought of a warm meal became a distant, tantalizing dream. What little they had was wearing thin, just like their patience, their hope, their very spirit. The weariness turned to frustration, a slow burn that could ignite into something far more dangerous. The fires of their initial ambition, once so bright, now dwindled to a few desperate, lingering sparks. Desperation began to set in, a cold dread demanding a decisive, swift end to this prolonged agony. A date was chosen, a moment fixed for battle, hoping to break the deadlock and claim victory. They spoke of fasting, of Ethiopian bodies weakened by spiritual devotion, a miscalculation born of misunderstanding. They believed piety would make our soldiers vulnerable, an oversight of the spirit's true strength. Our people fasted, yes, but not to weaken, rather to strengthen the soul, to purify the heart. March the 1st, a day they chose for their assault, thinking it would find us diminished. But instead, it found us rested, spirits renewed, bodies prepared by discipline and deep faith. Fasting, for us, was not a weakening but a profound act of spiritual fortification, sharpening our will. Our men were not diminished, but imbued with a quiet power, a steadfast readiness to defend their homeland. The gauntlet was laid. The invaders believed they had the advantage. They were profoundly, tragically mistaken. Before the sun touched the peaks, a stillness lay over Adwa, hiding the history soon to unfold. General Baratieri, an old warrior, knew the weight of this morning, a gamble beyond measure. The great Italian army moved, fragmented already, trusting maps that offered more confusion than guidance. Adwa's mountains, ancient and unforgiving, awaited them, a silent sentinel of destiny and despair. What seemed a clear path on paper became a labyrinth, twisting through the unfamiliar, cruel highlands. Whispers of command became echoes, each column straying, becoming isolated in the unfolding darkness. Like broken beads from a string, the army separated, losing the precious unity needed for battle. Dawn broke, not with clarity, but with a cruel revelation. They were lost, scattered, and vulnerable. Navigation failed them. The compass spun tales of disorientation in a land that offered no mercy. Each step was a battle against the land itself, draining strength before the true fight began. Mist clung to the valleys, a silent accomplice to their confusion, cloaking the true dangers ahead. Fatigue set in early, a heavy cloak of weariness dragging at their spirit, their very resolve. The grim realization settled. They were not just marching, they were wandering into the unknown. Questions hung heavy in the cold morning air, unanswered, amplifying the growing sense of dread. The landscape, once a mere backdrop, now asserted itself as a formidable, unforgiving adversary. No signs, no landmarks, just an endless expanse of rock and dust, a crushing realization. Yet, eyes were watching, silent as the stones, seeing every misstep, every moment of uncertainty. A network of knowing eyes and swift signals spread the word. The invaders were faltering. Menelik, a lion awake, grasped the opportunity, the turning tide, with quiet, decisive wisdom. The land that confused the invaders was a mother to others, its secrets, now their advantage. From every shadow, every crevice, the Ethiopian spirit rose, converging with silent, deadly intent. Their hearts beat with the land's rhythm, each warrior a testament to an ancient, fierce courage. Then, a sound, a murmur growing to a roar, shattering the deceptive quiet of the morning. Suddenly, from the very stones, enemies appeared, encircling, isolating, sealing their tragic fate. The battle erupted, a storm of fire and steel, advanced weaponry meeting overwhelming relentless waves. It was close, brutal combat, where courage, not just technology, would decide the grim outcome. Machine guns chattered, a terrifying song of death, yet they struggled against a tide of sheer humanity. Against modern might, a defiant spirit rose, fueled by love for land, by freedom's sacred flame. Ethiopian cavalry, a swirling tempest, broke formations, sowing panic, carving paths of desperation. The famed discipline wavered, then cracked, as the sheer force of numbers pushed them back. Amidst the chaos, brave men, on both sides, fought with a fierce, unwavering, tragic heroism. The battle stretched, a canvas of fire and blood, across the vast, unforgiving Ethiopian highlands. Like water finding its path, Ethiopian strategists encircled, outflanked, pressing their advantage with cunning. Empress II, a lioness queen, rode into the fray, her presence a rallying cry, a formidable force. Her warriors, loyal and true, plunged into the breach, their courage rekindling hope, turning the tide. The Italians, already weary, now faced new relentless waves, appearing from the very mountainsides. A symphony of strategy, played by Menelik and Tatu, unfolded, sealing the invaders' desperate plight. Their advance shattered, their spirit broken. The invaders now sought only desperate escape. Chaos reigned. Commands became pleas, then screams. As the structure of their army dissolved, the pursuit was merciless, through valleys and peaks, leaving no refuge for the shattered ranks. What began as an invasion now became a desperate, broken retreat, a tragic, costly unraveling. Hope evaporated with the dawn. The dream of empire vanished, replaced by profound, crushing defeat. But on Adwa's peaks, a different flag flew, a testament to freedom, courage, and resilience. As the day ended, silence returned, yet Adwa's echoes would forever whisper of an impossible triumph. The sun rose, not on glory, but on shattered dreams, broken courage, and the silence of despair. Order evaporated into the thin mountain air. Retreat became a desperate scramble, individual panic overwhelming all discipline. Footsteps, once proud, now stumbled through rocky paths, heavy with the bitter weight of undeniable defeat. The victors, filled with a righteous, burning fire, pursued every soul, leaving no path for escape. The very mountains, silent witnesses to their folly, now conspired in their agonizing, desperate retreat. Darkness offered no comfort, only heightened the biting chill of despair and impending doom in every heart. So many brave souls, their final breath exhaled into the indifferent, cold African wind, forever silenced. The cries of the injured echoed, a haunting symphony of profound pain across the desolate, unforgiving land. Dignity stripped, they faced an uncertain fate, their freedom now a precious, distant memory. A ruinous trail marked their desperate flight, a landscape scarred by conflict's ultimate, profound devastation. Hope, a fragile flame, flickered and died in the bitter wind of their deep, crushing humiliation. Distant wires hummed, carrying whispers of an unimaginable defeat, rattling the foundations of distant powers. A ripple of profound disbelief spread, challenging long-held assumptions of unshakable colonial might and superiority. Empires trembled, their grand narratives of supremacy suddenly fractured, profoundly shaken by this African triumph. At home, a proud nation grappled with a shame so profound, it stung like a devastating physical blow. Their hubris, once a banner of ambition, now became a tattered flag of international ridicule and disgrace. But in Ethiopia, a different story unfolded, a resounding affirmation of their steadfast, hard-won independence. Adwa, a beacon of freedom, declared to the world, Africa could and would defend itself. Amidst the chaos, thousands of Italian soldiers were now captives, their uncertain future hanging precariously. Their treatment, often surprisingly humane, spoke to a different kind of African strength and ancient tradition. The immediate aftermath sparked urgent diplomatic dances, fragile negotiations for a peaceful, complex resolution. Adwa reshaped colonial ambitions, forcing new respect, altering the very map of Africa forevermore. The echoes of that day still whisper, a profound reminder of courage, freedom, and enduring human resilience. After the roar of cannons faded, Adwa's profound impact began to echo through generations, a quiet, enduring legacy. This victory, hard-won and brave, secured Ethiopia's sovereignty, its very soul against the encroaching tide of empire. Ethiopia stood unique, the sole African nation to repel Europe's colonial conquest, a singular, powerful statement. In an era of relentless partition, Adwa drew a line in the sand, a defiant refusal to be swallowed. From the dust and valor of Adwa emerged a beacon, a shining light of possibility for all oppressed peoples. It was a global symbol of black resistance, a defiant roar against racial hierarchies and imposed subjugation. The battle resonated deeply, whispering tales of self-determination, a people's right to chart their own sacred path. Adwa sparked a profound pride, a sense of shared dignity that rippled across the continent, awakening hearts. This African triumph inspired countless anti-colonial movements, fueling dreams of freedom across distant lands. It declared, unequivocally, that freedom was not a gift to be granted, but a birthright to be fought for. Adwa nourished the nascent seeds of Pan-Africanism, a vision of unity, strength, and collective destiny. Its light reached far beyond Ethiopia's borders, inspiring struggles for dignity and independence worldwide, truly global. European powers, however grudgingly, were forced to acknowledge an African nation's formidable strength, a paradigm shift. They could no longer dismiss African military prowess. Adwa was proof, written in courage and sacrifice. Beyond raw courage, the battle demonstrated clear strategic capability, a masterclass in military foresight and execution. But for Italy, Adwa's memory was a lingering sting, a deep wound to national pride that never truly healed. That humiliation festered, a bitter taste in the mouth of a nation yearning for its own place among powers. Sadly, this unhealed wound planted seeds of vengeance, seeds that would tragically blossom in future dark times. That historical defeat fueled Mussolini's future fascist ambitions, a desperate grasp for redemption through aggression. The haunting irony of history repeated itself, a cruel reminder that old wounds, unaddressed, can lead to tragedy. Thus, Adwa stands, not merely a battle, but a pivotal moment, a turning point in the tapestry of world history. It was a world-changing moment, forever altering perceptions of power, race, and the very spirit of human defiance. And so, Adwa lives on, a quiet whisper of triumph, a powerful, enduring legacy reminding us all. Adwa, a whisper carried on the wind, a story etched deep into the very soul of a continent. This was no mere battle. It was a thunderclap, echoing across valleys and mountains, a testament to raw courage. Against overwhelming odds, a spirit unyielding stood firm, proving that heart could indeed conquer formidable steel. A moment paused in time, yet forever defining, reshaping histories, futures, and the very narrative of a people. Here, on African soil, an African army rose victorious, asserting their dignity against the grandest of empires. The world watched, stunned. A tremor of defiance rippled across oceans, inspiring countless silent dreams of freedom. Adwa stands as a timeless beacon, a defiant flame, whispering of the power when people unite for their liberty. We remember not just the clash of armies, but the profound human spirit that truly refused to be broken. And so, our journey through history's forgotten corners continues, revealing more incredible tales waiting to be rediscovered. From the ancient whispers of forgotten empires to epic clashes, humanity's tapestry is rich with untold sagas. If you felt the weight and wonder of Adwa, prepare for other profound stories, each a universe unto itself. If this journey resonated with you, please consider giving a gentle like and subscribing for more profound histories. Share your reflections on this epic tale of defiance in the comments below. Your thoughts enrich our community, and if Adwa's echo reached your heart, sharing this story helps grow our community of thoughtful seekers.